Hello there, my fellow myth and fantasy nerds. My name is Tanner, and I'd like to welcome you back to my YouTube channel. Wait, what's that? What happened to my cardigan? Good question. I'm just messing with ya. In all seriousness, it's getting warmer where I live, so you might start seeing me wear my cardigans less and less as time goes on. At least until it gets cooler, which, let's be real, I hope is not anytime soon. Knock on wood. Anyway, as mentioned in previous videos on this channel, one of my favorite franchises is the Pokemon franchise. So much so that one of my absolute favorite videos I've made so far was my 10 mythical creatures I want as Pokemon. I'll link to that video in the cards and in the description if you want to check it out. Now, since making that video, I've actually come up with some other creatures and characters that I wanted to add to that list. In fact, I had enough items that I could have made a brand new list of top 10 concepts. Needless to say, that's what this video is. I will be going over 10 more mythical creatures that I would like to see gain Pokemon counterparts at some point in the future. Now, like with my previous video, I will be going over things like the lore and the typing, of which I know best, and not things like stats and abilities and things of that nature, since I'm not quite as informed in these. Also, similar to my last video, these 10 entries will be in no particular order. So make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below, since that always helps. And without further ado, here are 10 more mythical creatures that I want as Pokemon. Number 10, the Caucus Bulls. The Caucus Bulls, or Caucotoroi, are creatures from ancient Greek mythology. Well, I guess technically they aren't so much creatures as they are automatons, but they were definitely meant to look like creatures, if that makes sense. The Caucus Bulls were magical fire-breathing machines in the shapes of bulls, who were created by Hephaestus, god of the forge, as a gift to Aedes, the king of Colchis. When Jason and the Argonauts came and visited Colchis in order to get the famous Golden Fleece, Aedes gave Jason a challenge. Yoke the bulls, have them till his garden, and the fleece would be Jason's. Now Jason was able to complete the task, with the help of a special potion given to him by Aedes' daughter, Princess Medea, which made him fireproof, and both the Golden Fleece and Medea were his. Now, I definitely think a Caucus Bull Pokemon would be a fun idea, especially since there are quite a few ways of going with it. Now, in terms of typing, that seems to be pretty obvious. A metallic, fire-breathing Pokemon would most likely be a fire and steel type, or a steel and fire type. Doesn't matter, it's the same thing. Anyway, in terms of how you would go about it, I can think of a few ideas, including, but not limited to, either making it a regional variant of Tauros, or by making it one of the starters. I mean, think about it. A cute little fire-type calf that evolves into a fire and steel Cacotauros would be a fun concept, at least in my opinion. Number 9, the Minotaur. Speaking of bulls, another mythical creature I would like to see get the Pokemon treatment is the Minotaur. Now, to recap, the Minotaur is another creature from Greek mythology with the head of a bull and the body of a man. Please do not ask me how it exists. If you really want to know, you can Google it, but I would not recommend it, especially not after you've just eaten. Trust me. Anyway, creating a Minotaur Pokemon is something that, concept-wise, could go similarly to the previous entry, making it either a regional variant and or regional evolution of Tauros, or maybe making it a starter would be a fun idea. However, typing-wise, you could go many different routes with it. I mean, seriously, you can make it a fighting type and focus on its more humanoid features. You can make it an electric type and have you focus electricity from its horns. You can make it a dark type and make it more aggressive. You get the idea. Number 8, the Kraken. Hailing from Scandinavian folklore, the Kraken is usually depicted as a giant cephalopod, either an octopus or a squid, that's big enough that it can sink any ships that happen to wander into its territory. Yikes. I would now like to apologize in advance for the upcoming rant. Can you believe we don't have a Kraken Pokemon yet? I mean, really. A water and dark type giant octopus and or squid that's big enough to sink ships that wander into its territory? It practically writes itself. Okay, I am calm now. Anyway, I definitely think that making a Pokemon based on the Kraken is something that absolutely needs to happen in the future. Please, Game Freak, give us a Kraken Pokemon in a future generation, I beg of you. Number 7, the Sphinx. Hailing from both Greek and Egyptian mythology, the Sphinx is arguably one of the most recognizable mythical creatures out there, right up there with Pegasi, unicorns, and dragons. Now, most sphinxes are depicted as having lion bodies, and sometimes bird wings on their backs. But depending on the specific species of sphinx, they could have the heads of humans, lions, hawks, and even rams. Now, in Egypt, sphinxes were seen as protectors and guardians who were fearsome but ultimately benevolent. On the other hand, the Greek sphinxes were said to be the exact opposite: malicious, treacherous creatures who would attack and devour people who could not find an answer to their riddles. So, either way you look at it, sphinxes were portrayed as guardians in some capacity or another. So, I think having a Pokemon based on a guardian sphinx would be an interesting idea. As for typing, there are many different ways you could go with this. Now, as they were said to be wise and intelligent, at least enough to come up with some supposedly unanswerable riddles, I would say giving it the psychic type is a given here. Now, as for a possible secondary type, there are many different ways you could go. You could give it the rock type to play up the statue theme. You could go with the wing motif and give it the flying type. You could go with the dragon type to focus on how intensely powerful these creatures are. You get the idea. Number 6, Quetzalcoatl. In the mythology of the Aztec people of ancient Mesoamerica, Quetzalcoatl, whose name means feathered serpent in the ancient Nahuatl language, was the god of, among other things, the wind, light, and wisdom. Now, as his name suggests, he was usually depicted as a large serpentine creature coated in a bird-like plumage, and sometimes having wings as well. Now, as a Pokemon, I think being a flying type is an obvious choice. But other than that, you could probably get away with another type in one way or another. For example, you could give him the dragon type and focus on his more serpentine slash draconic aspects. You could give him the fairy type and focus more on his benevolence. You could give him the psychic type and focus on his god of knowledge aspect. I mean, as long as it's not bug, I definitely think you could get away with it somehow. Number 5, Anansi. Speaking of knowledge deities, a Pokemon based on Anansi would be an interesting choice. Now, if you haven't yet seen my previous video, link in the cards and in the description, Anansi is a character from Akan folklore in modern day Ghana and the Ivory Coast of Africa. Now, he is most commonly depicted as a spider, as a trickster spirit a la Loki, and god of stories and knowledge. Now, most of the folk tales depict his adventures as Anansi screwing with people and evading the consequences through sheer force of cunning, if that makes any sense. Anyway, a Pokemon based on Anansi would most likely be a bug type considering he's depicted as a spider. However, I would also argue in making an Anansi based Pokemon a psychic type as well, considering Anansi's role as a god of stories and knowledge. I also think that you could give it the ability to wield webs made of psychic energy in battle as well, maybe as its signature move. Número 4. La Bruja de Lechuza. Hailing from Mexican and Mexican American folklore, La Bruja de Lechuza, loosely translated as the Owl Witch in Spanish, is an evil, wicked being, a witch who either takes the form of an old woman or an owl. Now, according to the stories, La Bruja de Lechuza takes the form of an owl to take revenge on those who wronged her in life, though how she does so varies from telling to telling. Anyway, I think an owl like Pokemon based on La Bruja de Lechuza would be an interesting idea. I'm picturing a dark and flying type, or ghost and flying type, or dark and ghost, owl slash witch creature that, similar to most stories of Lechuza, lures people and other Pokemon to its lair by making the sound of a crying baby. I mean, it practically wrote itself. Number 3, the hippocamp. Yet another creature from Greek mythology, the hippocamp is basically a literal seahorse. By that, I mean you take the front half of a horse and the back half of a fish. Think like the horse equivalent of a merperson, if that makes sense. Now, a hippocamp Pokemon would be a fun option in my opinion, and of course, giving it the water type is pretty much guaranteed. However, if you wanted to add a second type, you could go multiple different directions with it. Give it the fairy type to play up the fact that it's a magical creature. Give it the ice type and make it used to the cold. However, I actually created a fan made Pokemon based on the hippocamp, but also combined it with the Pegasus and made it a water and flying type. I also happen to have made it the water starter of my fan made region based in Greece, and the other two starters I based on Greek mythical creatures as well. But that's a different video. Number 2, the manticore. Hailing from ancient Persian mythology, the manticore is a creature similar to the Sphinx that takes the form of a lion with a human face and either a scorpion tail or a tail with several porcupine like spines on the end. It was also said to have 3 rows of sharp teeth, and would leave absolutely zero trace of any prey item it consumed. Not even a single bone was left behind. I think a manticore Pokemon would be a pretty cool addition to the Pokemon world. And if you wanted to, you could even go the Dungeons and Dragons route and give it wings as well as the other features. I think giving it the poison type due to the poisonous tail would be an interesting idea. And you could easily justify another type as well as poison. From dark type to its maliciousness, flying type if you give it wings, fairy type due to it being a magical creature, etc., etc., etc. Number 1, Sasquatch. So let me get this straight. We have Abomasnow, which is based on a Yeti, but we don't have a Sasquatch counterpart? Not even a non-ice type regional variant? Why not? I mean, you could do pretty much anything with a Sasquatch, which arguably is one of the most recognizable mythical creatures from North America, and yet there isn't one. Come on! Sorry for the rant. I'm calm now. Anyway, I think a Sasquatch Pokemon is long overdue. And I think that even if we don't get a brand new Pokemon based on that Sasquatch, at the very least we might get a regional variant of Snover and Abomasnow based on Sasquatches. Now, typing wise, I definitely think you could justify a lot of different types and type combinations. Now, if you're going the regional variant route, maybe you could just get rid of the ice type altogether and go either pure grass, normal grass, grass ground, grass poison. If you're going skunk ape, you get the idea. Now, even if you aren't going the regional variant route, you could still probably justify doing these type combinations either way. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. And there we have it. That was 10 more mythical creatures I want as Pokemon. If you like this video and you want more, please leave it a like and subscribe down below so you don't miss any new videos. Also, if you have any other ideas for any future videos, please leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and who knows, it might just happen. And also, if you have other ideas for mythical creature Pokemon that I left out of either this video or the previous one, leave those in the comments below as well, and who knows, I might make a part 3. Alright, well, that's all the time I have for this video, so I will see you all next week with a brand new one. See you guys then.